Hello, everybody. I'm Pedro Mendes from Coffee Paste. As you've noticed, this interview and this talk will be conducted in English because we have some international guests here. We're going to talk about Uncommon Matter, which is a conference performance. In Portuguese, it's said Matéria em Comum. It will happen on the 28th of February in Culturgest, in the small auditorium in Lisbon. I'm going to jump right into the questions with Marta and Lucinda, who are the concept creators and have the artistic direction of this event. I'll have like 3 or 4 questions, and each one of you can jump in and answer and compliment if you want, if you think
That's
it's
perfect, Pedro.
okay. Okay. So first of all, starting at the beginning, I'm going to ask you what motivated you to create Uncommon Matter, and how has the project evolved from conception to what we're going to see in Culturgest. Anyone, start wherever you want.
That's quite a big story, but I think well, everything starts with a project that was another thing. It was another project, well, a bigger project, and then we wanted to change it to make this presentation to everybody at Culturgest, and also to change it to be not only a conference, but a conference performance. And so the journey starts there, and of course the subject of the conference performance that puts together everybody that's here today. It's the reason why we are doing this, which is, mainly climate change, that crisis. But of course, all the other crises that are, Angelica has a great word for this. So this complex of crises that are happening right now.
Mm-hmm. If Lucinda wants to compliment, you feel free to. Otherwise, I'll jump to the other questions. Okay.
No, you can continue.
I'll continue. It's okay. So I wanted to ask you what does taking a step back, as you refer to in the synopsis, what does it mean in this context, and how can this idea help rethink present and future? What does taking a step back mean in this context?
Lucinda?
Well, if I understood, and as Marta was saying, we are addressing the climate crisis, but it's also a kind of humanitarian crisis. The way we are dealing with each other, and we deal with being together in a place and relating to each other. So this idea to going one step further, it's like we need to understand that we are not posing new questions. All these questions were posed before, and we are just reminding ourselves. And maybe we are also reminding a kind of kindness and a kind of way and a generosity in a way we relate to each other that we forgot. I don't know. But I think Uncommon Matter deals with these possibilities of relation and is born after that. So how can we relate? How can we create our spaces of relation? And this relates to architecture, but relates with everything.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about housing architecture and hydric resources, all that, with our guests today. I wanted to ask you also, you both, how does the conference performance format combine those aspects that are stated in the name? In one way, artistic expression with social, environmental, and political reflection you want to bring to this event. How does artistic and sorry?
I'm not sure I understood your question.
The question is about how the conference performance format combines artistic expression with the social, environmental, and political reflection.
Yeah,
how they should combine in this event.
Yeah, okay. So we are starting creation, actually. We have been writing and doing some other material that will be at the conference, but we are starting to create 4 stage but our idea is to, this is a very well-known venue for everybody here in Portugal, at least. Mm-hmm. And we don't want it to be exactly the same as everybody remembers it. We want to, so as Lucinda was saying, we are not talking about anything that's new. We are not talking about anything. We don't know especially something and also we are not obliged to agree between us. We can disagree and we can challenge ourselves, and this we want to bring this spirit to the venue. We want that people will be there and kind of reflecting about their own lives. And
that's exactly what I was going to ask after, about the kind of impact you hope to generate among the audience that comes and sees this conference performance. Do you think would you like to see engagement continue beyond the performance itself?
Of course.
Yes. Yes, but go ahead, Lucinda, please.
I want to add something about the format. I think the format, this hybrid format that we have 3 persons on stage and 2 on video, we are dealing with all the kind of means of communication that we have today, but we are also dealing with presence and different kinds of presence. And somehow, hopefully, this format that is hybrid can also challenge the public, because I think we are using it till the maximum possibilities to bring this idea of hybridity to the maximum, I think. So all the contributors for the conference are using the full possibilities of their format of expression and of communication. I don't know if I was clear, but it's
I don't know.
Being in presence and not being in presence, are always all these possibilities are a kind of presence, and we are exploring these different kinds of presence. To sum up.
All right. I'm going to jump to Andreas, if it's okay, to ask him how the issue of hybrid justice fit into the discussions raised by Uncommon Matter, in your opinion.
I think it fits both in terms of substance and in terms of format. Hybrid justice is something that, to pick up what Lucinda said, is both present, and when it's absent, it's still very much present. I understand hybrid justice as something for which we don't have to try, for which we don't have to wait. It isn't something that is yet to come, and it's not something that we need to get organized in order to have it. I understand hybrid justice as the kind of almost planetary understanding of justice, where bodies of water, which is pretty much every body, human and non-human, align themselves in such a way that things simply work and things simply happen and fall into place, with conflict, with difference, with distance, but still works. It's not a soft justice. It can be quite a violent justice, but it is based on this idea of water, or at least some sort of a form of water. It doesn't have to be liquid. It could be vapor or solid. Is always present both inside and outside our skins, and it transcends precisely those kind of those other categories. And in terms of substance, I think it's not even so much of ecological cry. It's not even a kind of a question of things are going bad, we need to get organized. It is more about things are collapsing or have collapsed, and so we need to start adapting. It's not a political apathy, but it's a very specific way of sort of understanding our role as humans, both in terms of responsibility and in terms of current ability to react to what is happening.
Right. In that way, I would like to ask you how can we rethink new ways of managing and coexisting with this resource that is water?
So I wouldn't call water a resource because
Okay.
that's part of the
Right.
problem of kind of, the subject-object division or indeed the human-non-human division, etc. I would simply, I mean, the ways that I understand hydrojustice are based on this big rupture between various different bodies and the continuum amongst all the bodies and in relation to the planet. It is incredibly difficult to manage that, as you ask me, and I'm just positing as an example this idea of trying to stand with your 2 feet on shifty sand where the water comes in and out and is by definition destabilizing. So this is not the way to do it. This is, I mean, yes, we can keep on trying to be like this tentative swimmer, this tentative person who tries to balance in the water. But what I favor is this idea of horizontality as opposed to verticality. So I understand human civilization as a vertical moment of an erection, let's say, of a kind of almost phallocratic presence where it says I'm here and I can see everyone around me. And instead of that, I'm trying to argue for a horizontality where things become, if not equal, at least somehow managed and continuum amongst the various bodies of water.
Right. And in what ways do you think art can contribute to the raising of awareness about these issues and about the water crisis?
Well, increasingly, it's the only thing that we have. I mean, politics are failing us. I don't know, philosophy is often co-opted. It is a very, very difficult thing. So art, the way that I'm trying to use this kind of expression through the video or through my art practice, etc., is a way of trying to, because I'm also a legal scholar. So what I'm trying to do is bring arguments from the law and questions of legal justice, etc., into the art practice and trying to convey these messages, which are quite often, if not subliminal, at least ways in which they're not fully rational, because the rational thing is carry on. And what we're saying is, no, lie down.
Right. I'm going to jump to Sepide, if you don't mind, to welcome her to this discussion also, and ask her how can we challenge the extractivist models that underpin today's economies? And I know it's a big question, and rethink the use of natural resources in a way.
Yeah, I I have become, I mean, it's since some years ago, I've become interested in exploring landscapes and situations affected by extractive economies and extractive practices, and I have been focusing on specifically extraction of oil, so a different kind of liquid than water, I would say, and perhaps both have become essential kind of liquids in our life. One is the kind of um, a necessary element for life, that is water, and the other, oil, has become the lubricant for the machineries of modernity. So for modernity to work smoothly, we need oil and we need extraction of oil, and that's what has happened to our society, to our earth, to our environment. That one sort of culture, that is petrocultures, has become dominant culture, that everything else has to respond to it, has to kind of adjust itself to the culture of petroleum. So uh, for me, I mean, thinking about this kind of extractive practice is to think of it as infrastructures. And I mean, I'm also educated in architecture, and I'm usually speaking from the spatial and material point of view. So for me, the extractive economy and the oil infrastructures are kind of structures that creates all these wounds and holes into the earth. So my imagination always starts from an earth that is wounded, and by imagining how many oil wells are in the world, So you can imagine that sore body of earth. So I start from there, from all those fragments of sore kind of um, pieces of land, pieces of earth. And then if you look at it as a whole, then you see this very sore body of earth. And by that, following that, the sore body of human and other than human inhabitants of this earth. So for me, I mean, through my artistic thinking and kind of practice, I think one way of approaching this pain, one way of approaching this fragmented kind of society as a result of this fragmented kind of, sites of extraction, is through stories and storytelling, and finding all these characters that are hidden, affected by the oil industry, and finding their voices and bringing them into these types of stories. And the stories I work with are not always hopeful stories, but many of them are really hopeless. And this is where I am kind of inspired by the idea of radical hopelessness. So let's be hopeless. Let's just give up hope and see what energies we can harvest in this hopelessness. And perhaps this hopelessness is something that can give us energy to again be able to cohabit, to be able to communicate, and to be able to connect as a new ways of living together.
And that does that hopelessness in the end lead to a new hope?
Yeah, probably to a new hope, or or I try to keep that hope a bit at bay, because that is a romantic way of coping with the situation, and thinking that, oh, let's hope that things are all right. Things are not all right. I mean, by looking at the status of the world, we see that things are not all right. The things are actually horrible. And let's stay with this kind of a very dramatic situation of the world, and see what energies we can get from that pain, from that sore earth, actually.
Right. Talk about energies. Do you think there are an unseen impacts of extractivism that tend to be overlooked by society?
Probably yes, and I think what I always think is that all of us, including myself, we are kind of consumed by products that are products of petroleum, products of extractive kind of industries, like this laptop that we are, or the computers we are sitting at. Without petroleum and extractive industries, it was not possible. So it's good to kind of think, but perhaps it's also difficult to understand our kind of role in encouraging these industries to go on and on and on. I mean, we look at all these, smaller and bigger objects around us. They are somehow the products of extractive industries. But this awareness, I think, would be perhaps good to have, to see what our roles are in kind of, or if we are complicit with this bigger kind of industries, with these bigger exploitative industries.
Now I had some questions for Angelica, but she's split into two. She's here.
No, I'm listening with the other half.
I just wanted to say that Sepide just dropped our slogan, which is radical hopelessness, and that can be translated to Portuguese as a desesperança radical. So that's it.
we've got a motto.
Maybe it's also a really good connection point to what I'm planning to do. But yeah, go ahead with your question.
Right. I would ask you how, in your opinion, does the housing crisis and the contemporary housing models relate to the themes of this event of Uncommon Matter?
So like, I mean, this is a little bit my thesis that the housing topic, if we manage to improve the situation for everyone, will have a big impact in terms of like really giving more stability and security, enabling people to really build up community. So like really stepping out from this idea of singularity in communities, but like really putting more energy in building up solidarities and communities and security and stability. So I look at housing as this, big lever, let's say, that we can use to really improve the situation which we are in. And maybe to add a little bit to this, to the understanding. I mean, I think yesterday's situation is the perfect mirror of like where the world is going now, what we're like living in, this weird interregnum of, we see that things are shifting so quickly in a way, the dynamism, polarization, people are split, or like the insecurity that so many people feel from the multiplicity of crises we're living through, in my opinion, leads to the polarization and the easy target. So it's like very easy to fall for these simple ideas of like there is one specific group or there is one specific problem that is like sold as the main problem. So we are able to like just jump on it and like call it or like make it the goat that we need to kill in a way. And instead of that, what I would like to do is on one hand to show what the interconnections of topics are and how they're influencing each other. Because housing...
Angali, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Don't you want to talk a little bit about what's happening in Germany right now, just as yesterday?
I mean, yesterday we had the first conservative right-wing vote that happened in the parliament. I'm currently working in the parliament, just to contextualize a little bit. And it's like in German you say Dammbruch, so it's like a breakthrough of right-wing power. It was actually not a voting on a law, but it's called Entschließungsantrag, so it's like only a small like the parliament is saying that they would like to point out their position on something, and then they vote for this. But on Friday they really vote on migration law again. So it's like this like two-foldedness, and it's expected that the vote will fall in the same way as it fell yesterday, which is super dramatic. And it's like, of course, the coalition split in autumn. So the parliament is without a proper functioning coalition, so it's not sure who is voting with whom. And the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, and the right-wing AfD voted together, which is like something no one thought would happen. And everyone in the parliament is really it's crazy that this happened in Germany.
Right.
Sorry, Angelica.
Let's maybe move on to some general questions for all of you, okay, to wrap up this conversation. The topic is not happy, of course, but we'll try to manage. First of all, the project itself highlights the need for, and I'm quoting, new meanings of coexistence, cohabitation, and conviviality. It says, stated on what I read about the project. What concrete practices could emerge from this reflection, do you think?
What good practices
what concrete practices can come out of this reflection?
Oh, anybody?
I would say that, and quoting a bit all of you, but Seppi and about being aware, and also Andreas, being aware of where we are, being aware of the things that we have to deal, and all the things we are coping with, to have the style of life we have. I think it's a first step, like being truth, looking to the things as they are, and don't putting words that kind of try to make a different story. and that help us to live with. No, I think trying to face things, it's a first step that is very important. Continuing the discussion, continuing to these conversations and proposing things, I think it's a natural development, and we will find a way, I believe. But
I think there's something very important that I would like to add.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody here has a theme, and my general interest to this that I bring to this conference is language. So I was always, since child, I was very amazed by how these like areas of life that were very obscure and enigmatic and sometimes ambiguous, etc., were somehow I didn't understood, and nor I understand today how this happens, but somehow these structures came to the light of day and became tradition, costumes, etc. So the rule. And this was very strange to me. And this made me think that, how there's something Susan Sontag says that I think it's very important. She says that a great deal of her thinking came through conversations. This is a big acknowledgement that she does. And there is something very important that we could all be doing today, and that I think we should all be doing today, which is bringing the margins to the center. To solve many of the problems that today crisis poses, if we start this thinking, if we change this, instead of thinking from the center to the margins, if we think in terms of the margins, how is it to be in the margin? How is it that someone in the south, or someone we don't have to go to the south, we can go to the margins of Lisbon, or I don't know. So our life, we can think of in a very individual way or in a very global way about this. But if we always do this exercise of bringing the margins to the center, I think this would bring a big change.
Right. Does anyone else have anything to add to this?
If I Sure. would quickly jump in. I think it can be very specific and concrete, and especially when we talk about infrastructures not working anymore, that can be marginalized groups, but that can all be, especially in Spain, we saw this climate breakdown when we had the big storms, no? So I think it's also for everyone who is not able to participate in regular infrastructures, is also to learn how do we really deal with these kind of crisis situations in terms of, are we able to help each other? And it can be as simple as maybe do a first aid course, so you are able to really help your neighbors when there is any specific crisis situation that doesn't enable you to call emergency or something like that. I think I'm currently reading a lot into crisis politics, and it's actually very hands-on what you can do. We also see this here in Germany during the floods in the Ruhrgebiet. We had a lot of people from Fridays for Future not protesting anymore, but really going there and with their men and women power, helping to rebuild and unbuild and just carry away all the mud and all the stuff. And it will be the same in cities. As soon as the temperatures are rising, it's if infrastructures don't work anymore, you need to become the infrastructure and really get active and stop complaining in quotation marks, but rather enable yourself to really become part of the change. If there is a fascist political system that maybe does not enable you to do what you want. So I think it's really about getting active and learning what are the tools and the actions that are valuable to society and to building up new infrastructures.
Right. So if no one else has anything to add, I think this call Lucinda, please.
Yes, and to continue what Marta was saying, but I think we all connect on this. The importance of language, I think, is that we can lie with language, and we can also tell the truth, and this is a choice. So we need language, we need to relate, and language is an invention, a human invention to relate, but we relate in other forms also. And I think we need to balance these relations and to be aware of the capacity of lying, because of telling things that cannot serve us anymore. I think this is about the fictions that we build for ourselves. So I think it's very important.
I think that if no one else has anything that they want to contribute, I'd like to just remind everyone that Uncommon Matter, Matéria em Comum, happens on the 28th of February in Lisbon, in Culturgest, in their small auditorium. Marta, Lucinda, Andreas, Angelica, Sepide, thank you so much for this important conversation that you had with me today.
Thank you very much, Pedro.
Thank you.
Thank you.